On this episode of My Strange Addiction, I start to contemplate every one of my life decisions. Starting with the one I just made today. I bought a bike. But I have a bike. I have a bike. I have bikes laying there that aren't even put together. I have bikes over here. Why would I buy another one? Well, I don't have a good enough answer for that. So, we're just going to talk about it. Anyway. Right, okay, so she's in the stand now. I don't know how many people watching are going to know as much as I do about these older bikes or just bikes in general. I know I post a lot of like RC stuff, or just recently started posting a lot of RC stuff, but this channel is kind of like a combination of all my hobbies. So, I mean, it started out originally as I wanted to post like gaming videos or just tutorials and stuff like that, and it didn't really go anywhere, so kind of just gave up on it for a few years. But then I got into like RC cars once I got a good job and had some extra money left over, and then I started riding bikes to and from work and started really liking bikes again like I used to when I was a kid. And here we are now. As you saw back there, there's more bikes than I have square feet of apartment. But anyway, that's not the problem. You do what you can with what you got. So I impulse purchased this today. I've been looking around Facebook Marketplace the last couple of days just out of boredom, looking for just some deals, and I was specifically looking for this era of frame. This is a Japanese-built bike from the late 70s, early 80s. They use the same design from like the early 70s to like the mid 80s. A lot of companies did. You've got this company, Miyata. You've got Bridgestone. You've got Fuji. There's so many names that use this sort of like frame design. It's made out of chromoly steel. It is triple butted, which again you might not know what that means, but that's these joins up here, where these are solid tubes that connect to solid pieces of steel. I don't think there's any welding. If anything, they braze it, but mostly I believe it's like just fitted like that. Very cool. And I like the design on the back of the frame here. It's something you don't really see very often. Yeah, like this little indent here. I don't know what to call it, but I just think it kind of looks cool versus like normal bikes where they just sort of morph into the tube here, That's one reason I like these older bikes. They have a lot of class to them, Just look at the front of this thing. Like, this is all metal. That's just part of the frame. And that paint job is like, this is a 40-year-old bike. I got to look up the date code and see exactly how old it is, but it's at least the early 80s. So this thing's older than I am. I'm 26, and that puts this thing, around 40 something, which is great because I always tell people that I have the soul of a 45-year-old. So it kind of explains my taste, doesn't it? Yeah. I picked this up from a nice old gentleman, and I think we're going to name it after him. Because my original plan was I wanted to just go pick it up from him and then ride it home. But the man insisted that these tires were too dry rotted and that he didn't want me to get stranded. So he came and delivered the bike free of charge. Never had anybody do that before. It was crazy. It was a $50 bike, which honestly it's worth more than that. The man's a legend for even letting it go for that price. Most people will be sending these out for 80, 150 around that mark. Especially since it's like all original components. There's just barely any surface rust on it. Everything's tight. Everything works. Like, I could have rode this home, but, man was not kidding when he said these tires needed replaced. Now, you don't want to ride that, especially when you weigh as much as I do. Yeah, that's coming right off of there. Those tires are original, he said. These rims are original as well. They are anodized steel. Black anodized steel from the 80s. That's kind of amazing, to be honest. If you know anything about metals and stuff, that's really crazy. And the other thing, it's got this mount down here. This on a bike this old is crazy. These little hanger mounts for the shifter, you didn't really see these pop up until the 90s and early 2000s on bikes, and only just recently are they kind of an industry standard. So this is cool because now it's compatible with new derailleurs, which I have some of, but actually I kind of like these old Shimano derailleurs. They're very nice. So I'm looking forward to setting that up with the old square teeth cog back here. These are really fun to shift, not in a bad way, but in a very satisfying way. Like if you've ever driven like a manual transmission car, it's kind of the equivalent to that, because you got these up here. You don't have no shifters on the handlebars. Back in my day, you had to actually reach to change gears. Tell you what, that's a shifter right there. Yeah. So anyways, I really been wanting another down tube shift frame. The two of the bikes I had back there are also Japanese frames from this era, and I had down tube shifters on both of them originally, but they got swapped out, and those two builds are just where I want them right now, so I'm not going to mess with them. So it's just a different feeling shifting these. I don't know how to explain it. It's great. It feels like you're in a car, banging through gears with the transmission stick. It's great. I love it. It's a more interesting ride. These frames soak up a lot of the ground. The wheels on this, I really want to keep them. The front wheel is pretty good. It's very true still. There's no wobble in it at all. Amazing. Bearings may need a little greasing, but I think they're okay. The headset, I think it's fine. That noise is this stick here that's holding it, making a creaking sound. I don't think the bearings are crunchy or nothing. The seat post, oh my god, that is a beautiful seat post right there. SR, I don't know exactly what that is. I'll have to look into it, but this looks like a forged aluminum seat post if I had to guess. If I had to guess, I'd say this is a forged aluminum seat post just from feeling it. Like early 80s, yeah, this looks like something like that. Very cool. It might, you know what? Cast. That's cast. Yeah, it might be cast aluminum. It may be cast aluminum or cast, like, light steel of some sort, but sounds good. Just looking at this, I can tell someone took care of this bike. They took so much care of this bike. I cannot believe it. You don't see this ever. This seat post, like, there's no rust in there. Like, I can't wait to take this bolt out, which these bolts are notorious for stripping and for rusting out, and just, I've hacksawed these out before because they've gotten so stripped, and this one is just in perfect condition. That's like a $20 bolt if you need to buy a new one right now. It's crazy. The brakes are BMX style. They're early Shimano brakes. They're not bad. The pads are, I think, original as well. They look very original anyway. This bike did not see a lot of use. Like, honestly, there's still shred. Like, I know it's dry rotted, but there's still shred. And I mean, the sidewall color is even still very, like, light for how old it is, This bike was either garage kept, maybe basement or attic. I'd say attic, just because of how uncorroded it is. And like these tires should be way more dry rotted than this. It's insane. The only downside to this whole bike is the weight of the wheels. The weight of the frame and everything, it's maybe 25 pounds, which is crazy because that's what my brand new $1,000 Poseidon aluminum bike weighs, is about 25 pounds. So for this thing to be close is just insane. And these are so much fun to ride. Like, because you just don't care because it's steel. Steel is real, as they all say. And they soak up all the bumps in the road. Like I was saying, you don't need suspension on one of these. Just, if you tear it apart and take everything off and you tap the rear fork, you can hear it reverberate like an actual tuning fork. Like, see if we can. Okay, you can't get it with everything attached. But anyway, point being, love these frames. Very excited for this. I'm not going to do too much to it. This is going to be probably the first bike build I'm going to showcase on this channel. I've had like 2, maybe 3 other bicycle related videos so far, but I haven't had the motivation to do anything like this. So I'll go ahead and start it now. All right, so I'm gonna clean her up. I think I'm gonna clean it up a little bit. Maybe tweak the brakes, and then I guess I have to put some new tires on it. And we'll have to take it for a ride, It's kind of snowy outside. It did just all melt today because we went up to like 40, 50 degrees. So maybe I can take it out for a ride tomorrow or something. I have to work tomorrow, but maybe the day after. But either way, we'll have some content coming up with this soon. Handlebars are definitely getting swapped. So maybe the next video will be handlebar swap, brake check, and then we'll just take it for a rip down the local canal towpath. And you guys can get a little view of that. So anyway, thanks for tuning in. Hope you like bikes and crazy RC cars, because I have both. See you guys later.